Thank you.
Is it being recorded?
Your guess is as good as mine.
All right. Do you need anything from your room? No. Okay.
One year leave. 1 year leave.
Yeah.
Oh, this is where I need to be.
Okay.
I can point them up to you by face, but I don't know names. I don't like looking at these adjustments, so.
You all see that okay? It's kind of small.
It's kind of 60 there, so.
You can't make it any bigger though.
I can see it okay.
If you can't see, you gotta move forward, I guess.
You gotta move the table backwards.
Oh,
And
Yeah,
with
there's-
that table being there, it's hard.
there's cords and, okay. We'll make it work.
You I can do it if you need to.
I think it's fine. It'll work.
Tell them to move up.
Yep, that's right. What time is it?
10:20.
We're there. Guess we should get started. I don't know. Did the other training like run over maybe?
Mine did, so.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll give it like a couple more
Like
minutes.
Yeah, everybody should be in their training sessions now.
Okay. Our hotel room, like we couldn't make it cool, so it was so hot in there. Now I feel like I'm like super dry out.
It was freezing.
Yeah, we We'll switch. Like I tried everything I could to make that air cold. And it wasn't going cold.
Yeah, we're on the first floor and ours was freezing. That is good. Welcome by.
I just and it might have been normal to everybody else, but I'm hot in general, and I like to sleep.
So, yeah, so just that term is like 66 or 60. So.
I was like, oh, all that hot air in here driving me out.
I was so scared to do that for the conversation tonight because I've never done it before.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's something.
I would tell you that I feel like we're nicer now. Like back in the day, I feel like they were strictly. We're nice now. We're nice little JCs.
Did you come in my house and I
Yeah, we won't see him until lunch probably. It also helps now that it's a lot of us younger folks that, know what the real world is like.
Yeah.
So, so that probably. So. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. You all look so alive and alert and all the things. So, for those that don't know me, because I do not know some people in this room, maybe these lovely ladies right here. My name is Vanessa Birchler. Last year I served as the president for GCI USA, which is our national organization. I'm proud to call Illinois home and always happy to help out wherever I can. So when President Lana said, I want you to do this, I said, right on, girlfriend, got it. Not one to say no. So, so is everybody in here a board member on the local chapter this year? No. Fair enough. You should not be. So. Both of you ladies are? Okay. What chapter are you from? Oh, Palestine. Okay. And then Janae is from Springfield. And Emily is Highland, Collinsville, both, right? Remember both. Okay. And then Jessica's from Menard County, but serving as an director. So, all right. So now we know everybody, right? So and then John is the programming vice president. He's from Highland. So he's serving at the state level, which some of this could be very relevant to you as well as state VP. So hopefully it will be. So, so we're going to dive in today to our 1 year to lead. So one of the greatest and worst things about JCI JCs is that we're a 1 year lead organization. So every year our leadership changes. So from the national, international, all the way to the local level, the premise is that every year we have a new chapter president, that we have, that people serve in different board positions, all those kinds of things. So it's awesome because we constantly have new ideas that are generating, new people leading the charge, but it's also a hindrance at times because it's hard to get something done in just 365 days, right? So I've especially found that to be true when you move up even further in the organization. Those 365 days, actually 366 days last year, were the longest and shortest days of my life. So, it's a very awesome thing that we do, and I think it's really great I personally like that we have this 1 year to lead, because then you do constantly have people that are reinvigorated, people learning new things. You can hold 4 different VP positions, but they're all different, right? But they're also alike in the same way too. So that's where President Lana said that she wanted me to focus on talking about how we make the most of those 365 days, and we're already a month in. So we have about 31 less of them to make our impact in our local chapter and keep growing and keep moving forward. All right, and I've lost my clicker too, so my life's a mess right now. All right. Okay, so we're going to start with first kind of the basic, like, what does a board member do kind of thing. So when you take on a board position, it's more than just showing up whenever you choose to and kind of picking and choosing what you want to do in the organization. As a board member, you have a higher level of duty of care when it comes to being involved with your local chapter. So expectations include attending meetings. Most of your chapters will have, can't see back there now? I should make that font bigger. So most of your chapters will have a monthly or a bi-monthly meeting. As a member of the board of directors, your chapter probably also has a board of directors meeting. Yeah, there's a bird up there. So, sorry, yeah, we don't know what he's doing. He's just hanging out. So.
You should have been 1 year.
Yeah, he is. He's hopefully going to find his way out of the ceiling. But then also, you can't just show up to a meeting either whenever you're a board of directors member, right? Because first of all, that the board as a whole, the chapter president, will be preparing the agendas for those meetings. You also have to stand up and give reports. So you need to make sure that you are taking the time to prepare those reports and be ready to give that presentation to whatever kind of standard your chapter president or your chapter as a whole uses. Some people, they do real quick reports. Other people, oh, hi there, Scott. Other people will do, they'll do more of a condensed report of here's the who, what, when, where, why. You got questions, come see me later. So, and then before the meeting is reviewing meeting materials. So I don't know about some of you, but sometimes I walk into a meeting, I don't look at the agenda until I sit down at the table. It's probably not a good idea to do when you're a board of directors member, making sure you're prepared, know what's on the agenda, when it's your turn to speak, those kinds of things. Making informed decisions. So there are a lot of times, depending on how your chapter's bylaws and policies read, that the board of directors has certain powers to be able to approve things, make decisions, whatever that may be. So it's very important that you are invested, you know what's going on, you understand things. And one of the things that is most important is that you think about, how does this impact my chapter right now? How does this impact my chapter in the future? All too many times we make a decision that does impact our chapter for years to come. Unfortunately, some of us may be plagued with, the JC chapter back in 1992 did this. Well, I wasn't even born then. I was 3 years old then, or whatever. So those kinds of things stick around. So you got to think about the now as well as a year, 5, 10, 20 years from now. So act in the best interest of the organization. As a member of the board of directors, it is your duty to think about what is best for the organization, not what's best for you, your friends, those kinds of things. So, and sometimes that can get hard, right? Like it's not easy making decisions that are hard. But if you don't make hard decisions, you're not doing your chapter any good. So there are ways that you can have those conversations, make those hard decisions without it being something that deteriorates your chapter or your friendships and those kinds of things. So, and then support the organization's mission and goals. So how many of your chapters create some sort of plan for the year, whether it's the actual like chapter plan or his goals or things of that sort. Yeah, we're all doing that? Great to hear. So for those of you that do not know, the gentleman in the back of the room, this is Scott Ogden. Scott is from the wonderful state of Missouri. He also served as one of my membership directors last year. I'm glad to see that he is here to learn with us as well.
Yeah, since you were too cool to say hi to me last night.
I was better, so I'm an old lady now. I can do that. All right, so that chapter plan shouldn't just be written in December, January, whenever you do it, and nobody looks at it, nobody uses it. The purpose of that plan is it's a working document to be used and reviewed by you as an individual board member, as well as your board of directors as a whole through the year. So it's okay to look at that because we may have set a goal in December or said we're gonna do something in December, and now it's January, February, March, even August, and we're like, oh, we don't want to do that anymore. So the bird is everywhere. The bird is stuff. So by working with people and also being transparent, let's say you have something in your plan of action that says this year in the community area, we're going to raise $20,000 and donate it to the Humane Society. Everybody loves dogs, right? So we're going to do that. But as the year goes on, some other pressing community need comes forward. Maybe the chapter's fundraising efforts haven't been as lucrative. So it's okay to look at that and to understand that this is what is going on and how we need to change it. And also being transparent with your fellow board members as well as the general membership as a whole, that here's our progress, here's where we're at, so that people understand those kinds of things for moving forward. Communication. So 95% of the problems I have found in the JCs happen because people don't communicate. So you can over-communicate, you can under-communicate. The purpose is you need to communicate. So, and I have found that obviously we all have very different communication styles, correct? Like I am very direct. I'm not going to say, hey, could you maybe do this for me? I'm going to say, Scott, I need that membership report next Tuesday. He knows he has to get it done, right? So making sure you're understanding each other's communication styles on your board of directors, specifically your chapter president, when they communicate with you, as well as you communicate with them, understanding that sometimes it's hard to ask people to do something. I'm that way sometimes. I used to be that way all the time. Like, hey, Emily, could you maybe help me with this? Or could you do this and maybe have it done next week? And Emily would be like, okay, I'll do it. And then Emily's like, I just want to get that done, but it's really important to me. So it's thinking about how you can set those clear expectations in your communication as well as your understanding. Something that I have tried to get better at is that if Emily comes to me and says, hey, I need help with this, or whatever the case may be, you would say back to Emily, okay, Emily, I hear you. This is what you need help with, and this is how I can help you. To clearly set that expectation of communication as well. And something else with communication is that I know it's not always fun. We're fundraising for the Humane Society and we're $10,000 short on our goal and whatever's happening. It's not always fun to go to the chapter president and be like, hey, we're not going to hit this goal. But it's also very important that you're transparent with them to be able to help you troubleshoot, as well as prepare for falling short of that goal, how you can adapt and change. So keeping those open lines of communication open. Also, as chapter board members, you will be overseeing your project chairs for the projects under your area. So same thing, open lines of communication, understanding how that person communicates, the best way to communicate with them. We all know there's so many avenues in this world, right? We can call people, which I know is weird, right? We don't call people in this world. Text, WhatsApp, Facebook, email, whatever, however they, working together with it, however that works, understanding those things, also understanding that, hey, I have a job that I can't answer during the day. So you may send me 22 text messages, but I'm not answering things after dinner. So just kind of understanding those kinds of intricacies as well. And being able to work with your project chairs to make sure that they understand you're there to support them, but as well as to hold them accountable. So, because our projects are our lifeblood of our chapters, right? About the projects, what do we have? Not much, right? So that's where it's important. And then also just general communications. If your chapter sends out a newsletter or email updates or however that case may look, making sure that you're getting those kinds of articles in a timely manner. If your chapter is not sending out something like that, I highly encourage you to do that. I know we all have Facebook groups, right, or group text messages and stuff like that. I don't know about all of you, but a lot of crap gets lost on Facebook or I don't see it. So if I don't see that there's a meeting next Tuesday on Facebook, I don't know about it, right? So, and then sometimes I will mute WhatsApp groups because, you know, I don't want to have notifications going off all the time on that particular WhatsApp group. So things like emails allows people to say, oh, you know, there's a new JC newsletter, my email, I can still get back to the upcoming date. So if your chapter is not doing that presently, I highly encourage you to do that. The bonus is that when you blew up, you can create a fancy, nice newsletter like a Constant Contact or MailChimp, like it has that same kind of platform. So,
Come to the training.
oh yeah,
Session.
there you go. Scott will tell you how to do that. So, but yeah, I think
Fans love it, it's now like newsletter.
yeah, there you go. So yeah, so that is a really cool feature that if your chapter is not doing that, I would highly encourage you to make sure you're doing that to ensure that your members are being informed. It goes to their email, you can cross-post it to your social media, however you want to do it. So I think it's a really great way when people say, well, I didn't know about that. Well, it came from email. You know, so we all know that people do Facebook and whatnot at different kind of intervals of devotion to those things. Okay, active engagement. So board members are to be proactive members of your chapter and not just passive participants. We kind of touched on this already. You have to prepare board meetings. You have to meet with your project chairs. You have to be prepared to get a report at your general membership meeting. Beyond that, this kind of goes into more in depth on that as well. So your participation in your local events. So in my opinion, and you may feel differently, or you may feel differently, if you're the community VP, this community project this Saturday, you should make every effort to be there. If something comes up, you have a family thing, you have to work, it's different. But if you're just sitting at home eating Doritos on the couch, I don't think that's being a very good board member in my opinion. So you should make every effort, going into this year, that you should be there to support that. First of all, you're the community VP, so you need to be there and show support, overseeing those projects, as well as supporting your project chairs, helping troubleshoot. We all know something's gonna come up at a project, right? And as a voting member of the board of directors, it's partially your responsibility to make sure that the chapter doesn't have a liability. What if it's gonna rain during the Easter egg hunt? Somebody has to be able to say, hey, it's not safe for the Easter egg hunt to happen today. Because at the end of the day, if a kid gets hurt, a parent gets hurt, it falls back on the chapter as a whole if something like that were to happen, and we don't want that to happen. So I would highly encourage you to make sure you're at those chapter events that fall under your area specifically, but also as a board member, you should try to be present as much as you can at the events too, in general. And if you can't, if your cousins get married the weekend of the 4th of July, whatever, say, hey, I can't be there, but can another board member make sure they're there the whole day? Those kinds of things. So it's being proactive in those things as well. Attending state and national events as well. I understand money is not forever just growing on trees and things like that, but I would encourage you to make it a priority to make sure that you're actively attending state events, national events as they allow, as well as paying attention to the state newsletter, JCI USA newsletter, their social media platforms to stay informed. Because things will roll out during the course of the year that may be helpful to you. As a management VP, you probably oversee those chapters, creative chapters, or the PMG that are submitted. Those deadlines will be put into those resources. It's your responsibility to make sure that those PMGs, those POC items are submitted by that deadline. So, but by coming to state events and doing those kinds of things, you can be in the know. And also, as you all probably have already gained from being here and other times, that's where you make connections. You can learn about new projects, learn how to run different projects. So it's really kind of that nucleus of helping grow you as an individual, but also expose your chapter to other opportunities. So, and of course, I'm always partial to the wonderful JCI USA events. If it's not on your calendars, the Illinois JCs are hosting our national convention in just 60 days, which is exciting and terrifying all at the same time, in the Chicagoland area. So if you ever wanted to check it out, it's not probably going to get much closer for a while. So you'll have to pay for travel. Or very little travel, I guess. So I would encourage you to be there. And again, you can learn about all the opportunities that exist outside of the local and state organization. So many opportunities, so many ways to be engaged and involved. So, participation in committee meetings. So we talked about your project chairs. Ideally, depending on the project, right? Some projects are pretty simple. They're not going to require a bunch of meetings and back and forth. But so you should still be checking in with your project chairs to ensure that they're on task, they don't need anything from you. But if there are committee meetings for a big fest, say like Hometown Fest or something like that, that you should try to attend those, make sure you are in the loop as the community VP or whoever oversees Hometown Fest, however that falls within the chapter. So, and that's kind of the best way to be proactive and making sure that, hey, there's this issue or, you know, something that can be missing when it comes down to planning and those kinds of things. So, yeah, we talked about participation in chapter events already. So I skipped around a little bit there on that one. So, any questions so far?
So, Madam
Yes.
IPP, are you saying that we should be good stewards of the funds under our areas that were assigned? Is that?
That's a very good question, Scott. I should have put this in here. So hopefully all of you have approved budgets for your chapter, correct? Yes. So if you don't, you should. So I understand it's hard. New Bates only have a budget for like 4 years, just saying. So like we're 50-something years old. But you should really look at doing a budget just to kind of helps. It also helps charter the course for your chapter for the year, to those benchmarks, those kinds of things. But in relation to what Scott is saying is that, you know, we just need to make sure that, you know, your chapter is planning a social outing. Well, you could easily spend $2,000 on a social outing at the Cardinals game, right? But that's not being very good steward of the chapter's money. So, as the board member, it's your responsibility to kind of help guide and make sure that people are staying within those parameters. Specifically, this is why when somebody wants to run a project, they submit a PMG that's voted on by the board, so the board or the board and the membership. So we can see, oh, the chapter is going to go to the Cardinals game on May 15th, and they're asking the chapter for $2,000. So that way, you know, we don't know what we're spending money on versus we get to May 15th and Scott's like, hey, I need a check back for $2,000 for these Cardinals tickets I bought, and everybody's like, what? So that's also part of this is keeping up with that, looking over financial documents from the treasurer. I have heard horror stories that there are chapters that do not share treasurer reports, financial reports at meetings. If your chapter is not doing that, you need to be. Just saying. So, where did that come from? Okay. I don't know. So, and if somebody throws a fit about there being financial documents and numbers being shared in a meeting, that's a red flag. Call me. we will discuss that. So, and also like, don't be afraid. Money is a touchy subject personally in the JCs in life, right? So, but don't be afraid to ask questions when you get those financial reports, because that's how we can make sure that we're all understanding where our money is working at for us, not working at for us, those kinds of things. But also to make sure we understand where the money is at, what money is available, and those sorts of things. So, you know, some chapters have very large budgets, some have smaller budgets, but in either scenario, it's very important to have those kind of systems in place and to understand the financial situation for your chapter. All right. We already touched on this a little bit, that obviously 1 year to lead, our goal is to do the very best we can for our chapter now, but also looking into the future. And that means things like recruiting project chairs. How many of you served as a project chair before you served in a board role? Everybody? Yeah. So somebody probably did that on purpose. They might have seen something in you and they're like, I really like that Emily. She's a really good little JC. I think she's gonna be a really great board member. But we need to kind of show her that she has the ability to do things and kind of test her a little bit to see if she really, has what it takes for the project and those kinds of things. So, somebody probably came up to Emily and said, hey, Emily, will you run Cal High video? And Emily said, sure, I'll do that, So, but somebody helped you along the way. So that's where you as board members have to start looking too for people to chair those projects. That is the bread and butter of this organization, is chairing projects. That's what community members know us for, but also that's where our members learn skills at. So we say that we're a community service organization. We're not. We're a leadership development organization. But we do that through the projects we're running in our communities. You all develop as members. Our members develop as members, as individuals, by managing people, managing budgets, reviewing contracts, whatever the case may be. So that's where it's all of your guys' job as board members to look for those people to engage them and bring them in. So has anybody here ever asked somebody to chair a project before? How did you do that, John?
So I believe it was our scholarship project. I had been doing it in the past couple of years, and I was kind of getting tired of running it. And I was just saying,
Fair enough.
can you run this scholarship project that we do? I'll help you along.
So how did you decide who to ask?
Well, I just saw people who I knew would be like good candidates, like people who work in the school district and people who know the students that could get the scholarship.
Absolutely. Yes, there you go. So yeah, it's part of this asking somebody to run a project is to know your members as well. So let's say we run this project for the Humane Society every year, me and the project chair, and I go ask Scott to run the Humane Society project, and Scott's like, I hate dogs, I hate cats, I'm not doing that. So like, I know he does, so there you go. So it's knowing your members enough to know that while that may be a great opportunity in general for Scott, he's not going to be passionate about it to want to raise $1,000 for the Humane Society. He's like, I care about the dogs and cats. I would be very upset if Scott told me that, but I understand. So that's where it's knowing the people, knowing their passions, and those kinds of things. So and if there's somebody that, sometimes people come into our chapters that like a lot of us in the smaller communities, like everybody knows everybody, right? So like kind of people. But somebody comes into a chapter and they're new to town or you're a big community like Palatine or Springfield, you may know the person from Adam. So being able to kind of understand who they are, what drives them, their passions. So, talking to somebody and being, hey, I'm really passionate about homelessness in Springfield. That's a big thing right now in Springfield. So how can you engage that person in a project that is going to help with the homeless issue in Springfield? So it's having those personal conversations to get people engaged. So, all this goes into, at the end of the day, our goal of the chapter is to create community impact and grow our chapters. And by doing that, by actively engaging people, that's how we retain them, and that's how they bring other people into our chapters as well. So if they have a great experience, then they go tell their friends, their coworkers, post it on social media, whatever, and that's how we continue to grow the chapter moving forward. All right, so on the tables, I put this nice little booklet. I wish I could have printed them in color. It was really pretty in color, but the law firm only gives 3 black and white copies. So last year, JCI USA created and adopted our strategic plan for 2025 to 2028. That's what this document is. So the purpose of a strategic plan is to say, how are we going to fulfill our mission and vision? If you do not know them, they are right up here. And mission to provide leadership development opportunities that empower young people to create positive change. And our vision is to be the foremost global network of young leaders. So this document outlines those things. This document is not for what CSA is going to do, but what, as a collective, the national, state, and local chapters can all do to help us move us forward to achieve these goals by the end of 2028. So if you look through this, it does a really good job of going through what the strategic plan, how did we come to these things? It wasn't 5 of us sitting around, these are the goals for JCI USA. These were thoughts and opinions gathered from members all across the country. We did things online, we did some things when we were together in Hawaii, to gather those things. And as my time in the national organization, it has really shown me that while our communities are very different, our members are different, our states are different, at the end of the day, most of our chapters have the same kinds of struggles and the same kinds of wants and needs from the state and national organization. That's what this aims to do. So part of this is that obviously JCI USA is looking at how do we help chapters achieve these goals, but also we have to work, JCI USA works top down, and then the local chapter works bottom up. So a local chapter is implementing these things, looking at how do I do these things in this plan to help us move forward, to help make sure that our chapter is fulfilling that mission and vision. So specifically, should have marked it. So I think it's page 7. It's this leadership competencies page, kind of in the middle there. So in this world of, the workplace is ever changing, and especially as young people, we're looking more and more to advance our careers and climb the corporate ladder or make a difference through the nonprofit that we are working for, those kinds of things. We really looked at the ways that young people, the skills they need in order to be successful as both an employee, a business owner, and as a young active citizen in their community. So these leadership competencies are where we kind of do that at. So looking at how can your chapter help your members develop in these areas, whether that be through direct programming. Things like, for instance, financial management. This morning we had a training on financial management. So doing things like that, but also, is something like strategic thinking. Your chapter can easily adapt a strategic plan similar to this for your chapter for the next 4 years. So that way your chapter has a plan for the next 4 years. And as we talked about, you can't always recreate the wheel every single year, because that isn't entirely effective year after year to be able to do those things. Every year can adapt, every chapter president can have their own little touch on things, but if we have 3, 4, 5, whatever big goals for the next 4 years, it gives us focus and gives us somewhere to aim for. So, and then there are, so that would be 6. So it's this one, our big, hairy, audacious goals. Those sound really great, right? Right? Yeah. What a new verbiage there. So this is kind of the overall arching of what JCI USA is envisioning for our organization as a whole, the national organization, the state organization, and our local chapters. So this is where, and if you go past this, it talks about what those big, hairy, audacious goals are, and what that means for you as an individual member, how you can help contribute to that, as well as your local chapter. I'll take the picture of the sign-in sheet, and I will email you all like the PDF of this. It's a lot easier to read, and it's a pretty color, so I know you're kind of like trying to read it, it's small. I get it.
My eyes are
It was already being recorded, but okay. So yeah, so that, we have those conversations so that truly is what people want. So I encourage you, this is 20 pages long or so, but it's a pretty quick read. It's broken up into sections. I'll email this out to all of you. I encourage you to read it, share it with your fellow board members as well, just to kind of show people that here's something different that we can be doing. All of our chapters have struggles. We're all trying to define who we are. It's hard to believe we're 5 years post-COVID, but I feel like so much has changed in the past 5 years. And and not just JCs, but a lot of organizations, a lot of companies are still trying to define what that looks like in this post-COVID world 5 years later. So, so hopefully this will help you, give you some direction, kind of lay you out new things to kind of help you grow as individuals and grow for your chapters. I think I wanted to leave. Talk about that, right? Okay, so I wanted to leave some time. What time is it? Oh, okay, so we got a few minutes yet. Okay, I wanted to leave some time here at the end, which maybe wasn't a lot, but are there any questions you all have in regards to this? Anything else that you have about being a board member? Anything of that sort? Anybody? Are you all awake this morning?
Yeah.
Yeah?
We did yoga, so we're awake.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Pumped and energized.
I slept in and had breakfast.
I'm just the worst at coming up with questions
Right.
because I'm still processing.
Yeah.
But are you cool if I email you or Facebook message you?
just Facebook message me. So,
question.
I'm looking for things to do these days. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So I encourage you all to take the most of your opportunity for your 1 year to lead. I will say that there have been times that whenever I was a young baby JC, I didn't really put the most into my 1 year to lead. I wish now that I would have been a better secretary or a better management VP, because that would have helped me along the way during my leadership journey and helped me grow my skill set too through the JC. So take the most of that opportunity. Like I said, I started with, this is to a certain extent, it's a little bit more of a job than a volunteer opportunity. So kind of treat it a little more dedication and know that sometimes that there are big decisions to be made. At the end of the day, while our chapters are volunteer run, for all intents and purposes, they are a business. So our business is developing members and community impact. So making sure that you're part of that active discussion and implementing those things. So, all right. Anything else? Any questions? So, and if we're not Facebook friends, you can add me if you have a question later or want to chat more. Always happy to help anybody who would like to.
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Ogden.
What is a 2-sentence advice that you would give to someone in their year of leadership?
Oh my goodness. Okay. This is kind of unseen. My suggestion would be, I'm wordy, so 2 sentences is not.
That's fine. I was gonna say 1. I gave you 2.
Okay. My advice would be to take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way and look at how to do things differently. Those of you know,
So follow-up question to that.
my theme last year was evolve, and I truly believe that as individuals, as an organization, we always have to looking for ways to be better. So, go ahead. Shane.
So what do you do, because you said the second part of that was find ways to do things different. What do you do when you have pushback from the membership and people who've been around a while? And they're like, we've always done it this way.
Do I know all about pushback?
Do you have some sort of stick?
Yes, yeah. So it's more about looking at, and this takes time, looking at research, whether it be within your own community or polling your members. Let's say, for instance, everybody hates this project, but yet we keep doing it because 3 people love this project, the other 50 of us hate it. So it's looking at, as a community VP, hey, we hate doing the Easter egg hunt, for instance. So talking to members and like, hey, I know you haven't come to this before, would you come to it this year? Understanding to be able to go to the board of directors and say, hey, I talk to people have given me this feedback, those kinds of things. And looking at, things like 5 years ago, we had 200 kids that came to the Easter egg hunt. Last year, we had 75, so obviously our community engagement was down as well. So, as a earth element, I'm very fact and logically based, that's the way I handle it. Also, the other side of that though is that there's people, those 3 people love that Easter egg hunt, right? So they are passionate about it, and you have to also appeal to understand that, hey, like, I know you love that Easter egg hunt, but like, it's not in our chapter. So, like, and that's where hopefully folks will understand that, but that's hard, I get that. It's the age-old question of how do you know people that want to not involved? So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. All right, well, I don't remember what's next, but I hope you all have an enjoyable session with Scott and talk a little up. So, there we go, that's next, all right, appreciate you all.
Why?
Because I don't take a picture of a state team member.
I'm not a state team.
I'm from Missouri.
Well, we can still take
Yeah.
a picture.
3 of us here.
Oh, you have 4 of us here.
4 of you.
I need
Four.
John.